TNT Radio, tu radio en Internet.
After releasing only one demo EP, Austin, Texas-based melodic death metal band Hinayana turned heads in 2018 with their self-released debut, Order Divine. After catching the ears of Napalm Records shortly after, they released their debut on the label, The Death of the Cosmic EP, just a few months into the pandemic. Now the band returns with their long-awaited second full-length, Shatter And Fall, which was released on November the 10th, 2023, via Napalm Records. We spoke with the leader, Casey Hare, to learn more about the band and their work. Hi, Casey. How are you?
I'm good. How's it going?
I'm pretty fine, yeah. I'm very glad to have you here in TNT Radio Rock because we love your work, Hinayana music as well. We wanted to have the interview with you to have more information in the first hand.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoy it.
It's a pleasure. I wanted to ask you, first of all, apart from congratulations on your last release, Shatter And Fall, how has it worked? How was the answer, or both audience and critics like?
Say again.
As the album Shatter And Fall was released in November, maybe you have feedbacks and you can give us your vision or on how it's going. How was the opinion or the answer of the audience and the critics?
Yeah, so this album has it's actually gotten some of our most positive feedback so far, and yeah, it's been the fans have seemed to love it. We've had nothing but positive response from the fans. It was really encouraging going on our tour in Europe in November when we were releasing the album and seeing all the fans' reactions to the new songs when we played them live. Yeah, we've gotten some of the best reviews that we've had for any of our music, and we're very pleased with how the fan response has been as well. So it's been just great stuff, and we're real excited about it. And it just is reaffirming, and it's really encouraging.
Yeah. Speaking about that tour, I was going to ask you about this tour through Europe last November, again with your partner in label Gulfhard. What was the experience like?
It was a really intense tour as far as schedule and as far as just like the amount of work that we had to do. We were really happy though that we went and did that because it was such a good tour. I mean, we had great crowds every single night. The place was usually pretty packed. If you were playing a show, even though we were the ones that we were going on at first, like we were the openers for each show, the house was always packed, even so. So that was really awesome to see, and it was really cool. We had repeat fans coming out at every single show, basically from the previous year's tour when we toured on Ultima Ratio back in 2022. So coming back to Europe a year later, we had a lot of repeat fans. It was great. It was an awesome experience. It was a lot of work. We were running merchandise for all three bands. That was a part of what we were doing and part of our deal and everything. And so it was just a little more work than the previous tour. Also didn't help that everybody got sick on that tour, including the Warpart guys and the Before the Dawn guys. It was just the timing, was that seasonal change. Every single person got sick. So that was also, we had to work through that, but we got through it and it was great. And we had a great time, and I would do it again. I would do the whole thing over again if I could. So.
Great experience. I'm glad to hear that. Hinayana means the inner struggle and suffering one must conquer to find the truth in every aspect of life, nature or universe. Could we say that has been the band's path through Order Divine, Death of the Cosmic, and Shatter and Fall?
I would say so, yes. And that's sort of how I interpret the meaning with the band name. I sort of like that loose meaning, like what you just said. But yeah, I would say so that's sort of the path lyrically and thematically that kind of carries throughout all the songs and all the records. Yeah.
Right then. Let's speak briefly about your artworks and videos, because there's always a mixture between nature and humanity, isn't it? What does it represent for Hinayana?
Yeah, I would say that in most of our artwork and stuff too, and in the videos, there is sort of a bleakness. There's sort of a bleak outlook on things, and it's not very positive. It's not very, but it's also like I always love incorporating stuff having to do with nature, for instance, and like on the latest album, Shatter and Fall, for instance, the album cover has these dead trees that were burned down in Bastrop, Texas, from a wildfire that it could have been prevented. It was like a windy day, and there was like an electric line that was too close to the trees, and it ended up burning down an ancient forest. And so I wanted to incorporate that in the album artwork, because it's real close here to where we live, and it just kind of shows, there's this struggle between man and nature, and I like that sort of contrast.
It's a great contrast that fits pretty well with your music as well, because it says Shorter and Fall is a darker album. Do you think so, or it was your intention?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a darker, more bleak album than the previous release. And I wanted it to hit more on a personal level with any listeners, and the lyrics are more personal to me as well. I wanted them to be relatable. Each song kind of has its own little story, its own little tale of inner struggle and suffering. And I think that, yeah, thematically, it definitely casts more of a bleak outlook. That the album's themes are about fate and consequence and karma, and things coming back around to bite you in the ass, And so I think that, yeah, that was intentional, and I think that hopefully with the album artwork, and everything, and the videos, that sort of came across. But yeah, that was sort of the idea behind that.
Yeah, okay. And then, moreover, it is says as well that Hinayana brings a more modern and accessible death metal than classics bands such as Insomnium or Swallow the Sun. Do you agree with that, or how could it be translated into your music?
Yeah, I think we do like to incorporate some more modern elements, some stuff that's not quite so conventionally, found in just regular like melodic death metal. But we do try to, like, I do want to incorporate more of that stuff too, like more groovy stuff and more stuff that's not just like pulled right out of, the catalog of Scandinavian bands. So yeah, I would say that's accurate, and that's kind of the direction we want to move going forward too. Is some of the most I guess modern stuff that we were trying, most modern sounding stuff that we were trying on the new album Shatter and Fall, ended up being fan favorites, I would say. So we definitely want to like move in that direction.
I agree with you as well. Yeah, because it sounds more modern, more technical, maybe as well, and it brings a
Yeah.
sound, yeah, that reminds the Scandinavian sound, but different as well. No? So your own brand,
Yeah.
I guess. And you got great guitars, great riffs moments as well, and very powerful drums as well as the bass and the rolling voice. Everything in Hinayana for me is pretty majestic, but keyboards and they are a very decisive point in Hinayana's music, aren't they?
A very what?
What very important, very decisive. I mean, they brings out the melodies that maybe
Yeah.
characterize you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, there's actually a lot of what goes into the songwriting is like even when I first start writing songs, a lot of the times I will start with the keyboard parts. I will start with the strings and the choirs and those things to come up with chord progressions and figure it out from there. Sometimes it doesn't even start with the guitar. So sometimes a lot of the melodies, a lot of the big moments that are on the record, they come from just those initial key parts and writing that stuff. And so, you know, sometimes it's subtle in the mix, and then you wouldn't know maybe it's there, but if you took it out, you would hear that the chords weren't as thick and that like there weren't as many voices. And so, yeah, it's super important to our sound. Like it's something that basically is constant in our music. Is there's always like a bed of keyboards and strings like underneath the guitars and everything. So that's super important to me. Like you would still hear the song if you took all the guitars and everything away, you know, you would still hear the melodies and the song basically.
Yeah, that's true, because I think they build the atmosphere, the basic one. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
And in Shatter and Fall, seems to have two parts separated by an instrumental piece from our darkest moments. Is that so?
Yes, basically, yeah. That's sort of that's almost the halfway point, basically, yeah.
Because I think
And
it's new in your albums, because you usually have an instrumental piece in the beginning, but now you move it to the middle of the album.
yeah, I actually, funny story, I actually wanted to do two instrumentals on this last album, but we ran out of time to finish the second one, and it just ended up working with the track listing anyway. And so we were going to have two, but I think the one is a good break for, you know, from the constant noise. A lot of, you know, criticisms of this kind of music is that like it can be fatiguing to listen to, you know, the constant, you know, harsh vocals all the time. And so I really love giving the listener like a chance to breathe and take you know, the ears a chance to, you know, kind of recover with a little quiet
Yeah.
moment.
It's
And
like theater plays or something like that. You got your moment
yeah.
of
And
rest.
I like doing those sorts of atmospheric tracks too, just because they're fun and they're different, and they kind of express a different side and a little bit more calm beauty than the rest of the tracks on the album. That track we really enjoyed doing. I actually had my brother play. He's a classical guitarist, and so I had him play the nylon string guitar on that track, which was good to have him in the studio for that. It was fun, and yeah. Yeah, so I like kind of splitting things up like that. Like you can clearly see there's a difference between the first half of the album and the second half of the album, you know, and it's sort of like
Yeah.
is that break. Yeah.
A little change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's speak about some of the songs, because the album is pretty long. You did a hard work, because it has lots of songs. And for example, Slowly Light Collides begins with a very known melody. I mean, it sounds Hinayana in the beginning. It sounds like other albums. And then the song becomes a very complex one. It's like you got several layers in your music.
Yeah. Yeah, that track is specifically very layered and very full of little details that, like, you know, for instance, every part on that song basically has a little clean guitar thing going on in the background, and you know, that's very important to the track. That track I wanted to be more of a typical Hinayana song, like more of one that would, you know, harken back to, like, you know, previous works, but still add some new elements in there. And that was sort of the idea with that song too. And that was actually an idea, that the chorus for that song and the main riff and melody and everything for that song was I wrote that sort of alongside the Death of the Cosmic EP. It was not fully formed at that point. It was something that I wrote while writing Death of the Cosmic, and I set it aside, and it ended up being a perfect opener. And I saw it as like an opener basically the entire time working on the new album.
Mhm. Another very intense song is Reverse the Code. It's very intense, emotive, and majestic. I think about the desire of undo things. Is it true?
Yeah, and I really actually Reverse the Code, funny enough, is actually probably my favorite song that we did on the album. Just because of the grooviness of it and like the heaviness. It's it turned out my favorite. I really like how that one came together in the end. I think Daniel did an awesome job with the drums, and I feel like everybody pulled together, and it just turned out awesome. It also incorporates a lot of the newer qualities and different sounds that we were trying to incorporate with like our like moving forward, like more of that modern groovy stuff. And so I was really pleased with that song. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot when I first listened to it because it has a very balanced, I don't know how to say, it's very balanced as well. And the drums are very, very powerful as well.
Yeah, I was really happy with how Daniel did the drums on that song. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was part of it. I really like that how we did it's a little different of a track for us, like, and that was one of the things. That was why we chose it as our first single too. Is just it's groovy and it's just different for us, and we want to do more songs like that moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good path. Yeah. Another song that got my attention was The Answer because of the guitar melodies. They sound such as in some other songs a bit different. I mean, the melody is pretty different from other Hinayana songs.
Yeah, definitely. That's one where actually me and our keyboardist Michael, he actually wrote that song in part with me, and he was responsible for helping with some of the rhythmic stuff and some of the some of the riffing and stuff in that song. But yeah, the melodies, that's another song, I guess, where it is different, like you said, than the other tracks on the album. Like it starts off just more aggressive, and there's just immediately some blast beats and some stuff that goes on in there. That song was actually, interestingly enough, that song was actually the one that took the least amount of time to write. It sort of just came together really quickly, which was a really great experience too. And me and Michael like kind of just hammered that one out, and it was a lot of fun, and just immediately became a lot of people's favorites, favorite song on the album. We have been asking people on social media what their favorite tracks are. A lot of people said The Answer, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. It caught my attention immediately as well. And you got two guests in Shatter And Fall, Vincent Jackson Jones and Thomas Saukonen. How do they enrich Hinayana's music?
Yeah, well, it's funny. We've actually been friends with Vincent. He goes by Jake. We know him as Jake. We've been friends with him for a long time. Ever since his band Ether Realm, who's also on Napalm Records, ever since they came through, I don't remember what year it was. It was like 2019 or something, maybe. I don't know. I think it was around then. They came through Austin, Texas, on tour with Wilder Run, and we opened for them, and we kind of struck up a friendship with those guys. And we've been friends with them ever since. We got to see them when they come through. And at some point, we'd love to tour with them. They're another melodic death metal band in the United States, and they've really done some awesome music. And I remember we were writing that song, and we had that song like basically ready for vocals, and we were at the point where we were actually in the van on the way back from a gig, and we were deciding who's going to be the guest vocal for that song, because we wanted Mind Is a Shadow is the song that he was featured on. we wanted somebody on that track, and we just kept like thinking, it's like, oh, why don't we get our friend who does he has like a higher register of his for his vocals. He does more raspy stuff than I do. I do more of a lower, like mid-range vocal, like growling, and he does this more of this hissy kind of raspy stuff. And just to contrast, like we just thought that would be perfect. And honestly, he knocked it out of the park, and he did a kick-ass job making that come together. So yeah, we just reached out to him. He was totally down to do it. He's been a fan of ours and a good friend for a long time now. Tomas, we actually wanted Tomas to be on the EP, Death of the Cosmic, but the scheduling just didn't work out. And we were really happy with the guest vocalist that we got on that one, Tony from Hanging Garden. If anyone out there listening isn't aware of that band, they definitely need to check Hanging Garden out. Hanging Garden is a great band. But Tomas, we'd known for a while. Same story. He had opened, he was on a tour with Karak Angren, and they came through in 2018, and we opened for them, and we started talking to Tomas and kept in touch with him. And we actually, like I said, we wanted him to be on the EP. But it didn't happen. So we knew this next time around, we wanted him to be on a full length. So we managed after the 2022 tour, you know, he had come through with Flesh God Apocalypse, and we asked him if he wanted to do it, and he was totally down. And it honestly is so cool finally being able to share a track with him, because like he's been a huge influence and inspiration to me since I was a teenager, basically listening to all of his bands and projects and stuff, you know, Before the Dawn and Black Sun, stuff like that. I love all those old projects of his, and I love Wolfheart too. But you know, that's where the nostalgia really lies for me, and so it's really cool being able to like have him on the track with my vocals too. So it's just a really cool experience.
Yeah, it's something more always a personal project as well, more even
it was
professional but personal. Yeah,
exactly. It was meaningful for me.
Yeah, and I personally have like a Hinayana top songs, something like that, because I listen to you very usually, and they are The Window, Cold Conception, and Reverse the Call. What's your opinion?
Oh, I think those are all really, really good picks, I would say. Cold Conception is one of my favorites that we play live too. That one's a really fun song to play live. I honestly, that one is very special to me, and will probably always be a very special song to me, because we had Nature Gang and Bygall from the band Tengri Cavalry, who he passed away like basically the week that we were supposed to film a music video for Cold Conception. He was gonna be in the music video. He lived here in Austin, and he had passed away that week, and so we did the music video without him, obviously, but we kept his audio on the track. And it just, I remember when he laid down his parts for that track, it was like it was super special, and it changed the way the track sounded. That one is, that one was one of my favorites, just because it's so special. And then The Window, that one was so much fun. We loved doing a music video for that song too, because we went out in the desert and we took a drone out there and filming stuff. And that one will always be one of my favorites. That one's also really fun to play live too. Everyone loves that song in the band. And live, we actually do. We have Eric do an additional solo on that one in the verse, and so that one's really fun. And Reverse the Code, like I said, that one's probably my favorite one off the new album. So that's a pretty good top three, honestly. Those are
Thank you. That's a personal selection, but I think they are very significant songs of Hinayana.
Those are good picks for sure.
I can't write the top for you. I was thinking, I was thinking something, and I wanted to ask you. Do you think Hinayana has evolved from a primitive doom metal to a more melodic death metal, faster and stronger and maybe darker as well?
I think that is pretty accurate. Yeah, we lean more towards the melodic death metal side of things the further we go. We're doing less slow songs, and we're doing less of the really super doomy stuff. You know, I would say that what we do now is we do some form of melodic death metal with like doomy elements in there. You know, like there are tracks like the one that Tomas was featured on, A Tide Unturning, and there's like, I guess Slowly Like Collides is a pretty doomy track as well. But a lot of the stuff we're doing now and the stuff that we're doing moving forward, if you could hear any of the new ideas, you would see that we are, moving a little bit away from the super slow doomy stuff. Now, I will always have a soft spot for that sort of slow churning doom metal. So we might do some more tracks like that, but in general, I think that your assessment is correct.
Yeah, that's pretty good, because it means that the band is alive and it's moving. Yeah. I just thinking.
Record, we always like want to like evolve our sound, by the way, and that's something that is I think every band should be doing too, is like constantly trying to improve, because otherwise, what's the point, you know?
Yeah, if not, you are going to be a good band, but always the same, not the same production, the same. Yeah, I think it's a good way, because it shows you are growing as well.
And that's the part of the fun, you know.
yeah, it's funnier than being quiet. Are you thinking about doing more tours?
Yes, so that's one of the big goals for this year. 2024, we want to tour the United States, North America. That's the big goal, because we've done 2 European tours and we haven't toured North America yet, which is our own continent. So we would love to tour over here. Because touring Europe, while it is amazing and fun and an incredible experience, it's a bit more expensive, and it's a little bit more grueling and difficult to get over there. It's just very far away. And we have a lot of fans here in the United States that haven't heard us or haven't seen us play. And so we really need to fix that.
Excellent. So it was all. Thank you very much for your time. Congratulations again for your new album, and good luck promoting it. We expect here in Europe that you come back, maybe for summer festivals or whatever.
Yeah.
It could be a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
TNT Radio, tu radio en Internet.